Hey guys, Joe here at SportsGrid. It's time for a Puck It with Joe. We got a loaded slate out there on the ice, plenty of opportunities to make some money. We've got players that are reaching a certain numbers out there as well. So we're going to look at some player props. Loving overtime games today, loving some lower scoring of first period. So much to jump in on. And I see all of you guys already in here. So thank you so much. Let's go. Let's get this money today. I'm glad to see each and every one of you here. Let's make it 2000. Yeah, get to that 2000, guys. That would be absolutely fantastic to reach that mark. I believe we're at 1870 right now. So let's keep it going. We're going to start breaking down these games. The first one we're going to look at here as I just open it up here on FanDuel, you guys. We have the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Washington Capitals. Now, both of these teams desperately needing this win tonight. The Detroit Red Wings coming in here at plus 106, and we have the Washington Capitals at minus 128. That total is sitting at 6.5, minus 128 to the under. It's plus 104 to the over in this one. Look at both of these teams. I could see a 4-3 style game in this one. You look at the Washington Capitals, and we know how strong they have been offensively as of late. They've been finding the back of the net. And with Alex Leon confirmed tonight for the Red Wings, it's going to be hard. But, teams have hit him this season. He's got a 3.04 goals against average and a 905 a save percentage. So I don't think it's out of question for this one to go over that total of 6.5. Now, my concern here is how hot Charlie Lindgren has been for the Washington Capitals. He's been extremely solid in net for them. He was able to get his 5th shutout win of the season versus the Winnipeg Jets his last game out. He has a save shots on goal prop today of 25.5. Now to the over is minus 106. I will be hitting on that today because you look at the Detroit Red Wings. This is a team that can get those shots off, averaging 28.5 shots on goal per game. The Washington Capitals also allowing those shots to come in, relying on their goaltender to stand tall at 30.4. So I do think the Red Wings, with how desperate they're going to be needing to get this win, that they come out and they're firing like crazy on Charlie Lindgren. I think 25.5 is just too light of a number. Now they are off the odds versus the Predators on Saturday. It was a 1-0 loss out there for them. And we look at the Washington Capitals here. They've won their last 2 games, getting that shutout win, like I said, versus the Winnipeg Jets in their last game. 3-0 game there. They were on their home ice as well. And I think they have every opportunity. When we look at this and where these teams are sitting, we have the Detroit Red Wings here with 78 points, 79 points here for the Washington Capitals. These teams absolutely need this win. I don't know who's going to win this one. You look at the Washington Capitals and how strong they have been playing, how strong this offense has been clicking. And if Charlie Lindgren can stand on his head, he can get the win. Now, the value on the Washington Capitals at minus 128, I don't love. I do think this should be a pick 'em. So I'm not willing to take the Washington Capitals here, even though I think they're going to get the win at minus 128. I think it's too juicy. And it's just because I do see more of a pick 'em style game. Especially when you look at the Red Wings, they have been able to win 3 of the last 4 meetings, including on February 27th, when they got that huge, insane win over the Washington Capitals, 8-3. So we know it's possible for them to come in here. When I'm looking at who I'm going to trust here, when you talk about the Red Wings, you've got to look here at Dylan Larkin for the 2+ points I like tonight. That's coming in at plus 340. I think you go big or you go home on these players. Either put a little bit on it or don't. The 1+ point, you're going to lay the juice. And you guys know I hate laying juice. So at plus 340 for Dylan Larkin for 2+ points, it absolutely could happen if Charlie Lindgren isn't on his game. And coming off the game he did, he might be in for some regression here. I'm hoping not, because I really do hope this is a strong game here for both of these teams and their goaltenders. And you guys know I have Charlie Lindgren over his 25.5, but I still do think those points can come in for Dylan Larkin. When we look at Ovechkin out there, we have to circle him. He's been so phenomenally strong out there. His anytime goals coming in at plus 125. The 2+ points for Ovechkin is coming in at plus 180. Now, he had 2 goals in the last game. He now has 26 on the season. I love Ovi to come out here and be able to at least get that anytime goal for us at plus 125. I think it's a really solid way to go. And because I do think 4-3 style game, even though I'm taking that over on the goalie prop, I still do think 4-3 we're getting plus money to that over. Again, that over is coming in at plus 104. So that's where I'd be going with this one. I love it. Marks, go big or go home, I think is kind of the motto of the day. I would like the puck line. If you want to back the Washington Capitals, I think you're completely in the right mindset here to lay the 1.5 with them as well. Yeah, I feel for Kemper. Kemper is not the goalie that he used to be, but he also used to get a lot more support from the defense. When we look at him with Colorado and the amount of block shots on goal Colorado was able to get, I do have faith in Kemper when he steps in, but just not as much faith as we used to see. Okay. Let's look at the next game here, you guys. We're going to look at the matchup between the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. Now, this is playoff style hockey. Absolutely, all day in this one. I do expect these defenses to completely lock down and come out so sound. Now, when we're looking at the goaltending matchup, we have Swayman and Bobrovsky here. We know how solid they are. Now, don't get worried. It's not Allmark. It is Swayman, because Swayman and Allmark, they are so close to being exactly the same numbers in net. Battle of the Atlantic here. So when we look at these two teams, some people might get confused. They both have 97 points, but we do have the Florida Panthers with an extra game in hand over the Boston Bruins, and they've also won more of their games, getting them to the 97 points than the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins have got overtime points in there. So right now, the upper hand does go to the Florida Panthers, sitting first in the Atlantic, and then the Boston Bruins second, but both teams do have 97 points. I do think both of these teams' goaltenders will come out solid, and I'm looking at these offenses to not make that explosion until maybe the third period. I'm going to stay off the full game to the under, but I do think looking at that first period to the under is where I want to go. The first period, under 1.5 is coming in at minus 110. The no goals in the first 10 minutes, boy, the books are catching up on this prop and not giving us as much value. I still think it's worth hitting the no goals in the first 10 minutes at plus 114. I wouldn't be shocked if this game ended 0-0 in the first period, 0-0 in the second, you guys. Both of these teams are so solid in net and defensively. Neither team wants to make a mistake out there. I do think playoff style. Because I'm thinking playoff style, I'm also looking at that overtime bet in this one. The game to go to overtime coming in at plus 330. We know there's playmakers on both sides of the puck in this game. When we look at the Boston Bruins, they're on the first night of a back-to-back. They'll be facing the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow. I think their team total is also a nice way to look. I think this is a 2-1, a 3-2 at worst game, and I do think the Florida Panthers on their home ice can get the win tonight. So the Florida Panthers on the money line, that's coming in right now at minus 137. So it hasn't moved very much during the day. It was minus 138 earlier. I like the Boston Bruins team total to the under. I know, call me crazy when I'm looking at a Boston Bruins team total and taking it to the under, but I have faith in Bobrovsky here and the Florida Panthers. We know they're coming off a win and they went on that losing streak, but I do think turning things back around, I think they can lock down the Bruins. We know this team is so phenomenally strong at getting those block shots and not allowing teams to capitalize on their mistakes, trying not to make those mistakes out there. So the Bruins team total under 2.5. Great plus money at plus 108. Now, Pasternak for the goal tonight. If you want to look at the Boston Bruins, that is who I would be circling. He's got 44 goals, 55 assists on the season. He's 1 point away to reach 100 for the second straight season. So Pasternak for the point, I feel like it almost has to be out there. He's 1 point shy of 100 points on the season. So I do think that comes in tonight. So I would look at him. Sam Reinhart was able to hit the 50 goal mark in his last game with the 2 goals versus the Philadelphia Flyers. So something to note, Sam Reinhart has been playing absolutely phenomenal this season. But I do think this game stays, I've leaned to the under. I do think this is 3-2 in overtime with the Florida Panthers getting the win. Low scoring first period, no goals in the first 10 minutes, and we stay under the 1.5. So that's wishful thinking. We got a lot of plus money in there if all of those come in and hit. But I would look here at David Pasternak for that point tonight. So it's gonna be a good one for him, hitting his 100th for the second straight season. We're gonna look now at the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the New York Rangers. Another top defensive goaltending battle here at playoff style hockey as these two battle it out in the Metro. The Philadelphia Flyers sitting third in the Metro, and the New York Rangers sitting nicely, but not comfortably, in first in the Metro. They're minus 192, huge favorites here at home, plus 158 for the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, this one has a total of 5.5, minus 122 to the over. If you're brave enough to take this game to the under, that's coming in at plus 100. I am worried about taking this full game to the under again. I have more faith in the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers to stay under the total than I do in the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers game. I look at this New York Rangers team and they can be so explosive in waves. And I still don't know how much I trust in Ergen in goal for the Philadelphia Flyers. I know he's had some really solid games out there, but he just doesn't instill the confidence that even Igor Shesterkin, who will be on the other side of the puck tonight, he'll be in net for the Boston Bruins, instills in me. So I'm a little worried about Ergen. I'm worried that the Rangers will be able to pick him off tonight and could push this one to that over. But I do think you look at this one and no goals in the first 10 minutes. I think defensive lockdown, feeling each other out kind of period to start this game. The no goals in the first 10 minutes coming in at plus 108. The under 1.5 coming in the first period at minus 118. The only risk that we do take there, in my opinion, at least, is the Rangers score with like 20 seconds left for the second time in the first period. And I absolutely could see it happen because we've rode games with the Rangers over 1.5 in the first period. They've scored both of them and they made us sweat out that second one, but it's still come in. So I don't need the Rangers to do that. I need Ergen to stand tall enough in that first period. Now, OT game tonight between these two, you have to look at it. It's coming in at plus 380. I do think there's so much value here on them to be able to go to overtime. I do think the Rangers can win it in overtime, but the problem here is I hate the juice you're laying on the Rangers today at minus 192. I want to do the puck line either because I do think back and forth battle that can stay under that total, even though I'm not going to take that under. But I do think overtime. Panarin here has, Panarin, we already talked about Panarin with his 99 points. So it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for this one. Let's make some money with the New York Rangers and the Flyers. The Carolina Hurricanes are coming in. No, both Panarin and Pastrnak are both going for the 100 points tonight. I just had one of those moments where I was like, okay, I've already talked about this. I talked about the 100 points. Panarin has 99 points. He's going for 100 points tonight as well. You can look at him for 2+ points. That's coming in at plus 146. The anytime goal at plus 135. I do think both of those are in play today. I can't believe we've got two phenomenal players going for their 100th point of the season tonight. So that is Panarin of the New York Rangers and Pastrnak there for his as well of the Boston Bruins. So circle both of those players, maybe parlay them together for 1 point each. That would be a nice parlay, get you some plus money there. Okay. Panarin first. I like Panarin for the first goal. I do think that is a nice way to take it. You're going to get great plus money on that one. Yeah, the New York Rangers defense is dealing with injuries, and we'll see how Rempe steps up in this game and what happens out there. The next game we're going to look at here is the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to look at the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, current odds on this one, as I just pull them up, you guys, minus 188 for the Hurricanes, plus 155 for the Penguins, with a total of 6.5. Now, that under is coming in at minus 128, the over at plus 104. The Carolina Hurricanes have been phenomenally strong. The Pittsburgh Penguins are not mathematically out of the playoff equation, but can we just call them out already? You know, this team after the trade deadline and everything that we saw, Jake Gunsel being traded away to Carolina, by the way, and Bunting coming over to the Penguins. So we will have plays on them. Really put this core in a funk. We saw them give up on those games and then they tried to come back. Well, they haven't been able to come back. They got a couple wins under their belt, but they have lost the last 3 and they've had hard losses where they were in must win, and not able to win those games. The last game versus the Avs in overtime, in a game that, you guys, come on. We sat here and we looked at the Avs. We took them to push that game to overtime when they were going into the third period. We made money on that to the Penguins' despise here because the Avs were even able to come back and win it in overtime. But this Penguins team, they're trying to stay in it. But I don't think that they can, you guys. It's not nice what is happening out there for them. So also their first game home off that road trip, really disappointing road trip. They went 0-3 on that road trip. Now we do have the Canes off the win versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were able to win that one on Sunday, 2-1. They're 9-1-1 since getting Jake Gansel here. So Gansel to come out versus his former team, I do think he can find the back of Nedeljkovic's goal. Nedeljkovic has allowed 4 goals in his last game, so he's had his struggles, and Jake Gansel definitely will know how to hit him. His anytime goals coming in at plus 165. So I do think there is so much value when we look at him. Since joining the Carolina Hurricanes, he's been able to get 2 goals and 12 points out there on the ice. So that is 2 goals and 10 assists. I like what we've seen out of him. I am going to bet the first period over 1.5 in this one. We did see the Carolina Hurricanes win back in January 3-2 in overtime at home. They've won 8 of the last 10 meetings too over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I do think in this game here, we're going to see Carolina be able to get the win. I'm just not finding the value with betting them here. On the money line, I don't love that puck line because we know Pittsburgh, they're determined not to keep falling down, but they're sitting 7th in the Metro, you guys. I just don't see a path for them to be able to, because for them to be able to limp into the playoffs, we're going to need other teams to lose. And, we've seen it over the seasons this happen. So I do think we're still going to get a Pittsburgh Penguins team that is at least trying in this one. So I wouldn't look at Carolina on the puck line on the road. But if you want to look at Sebastian Aho here of the Carolina Hurricanes, we know he's been phenomenally strong. His anytime goal at plus 165. He's on a 6-game point streak right now. He's got 80 points on the season, including 31 goals. So Sebastian Aho has been playing amazing. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins, we've got to go back. We've got to circle Sidney Crosby. His anytime goal coming in at plus 165. Despite that loss to the Colorado Avalanche in their last game, Sidney Crosby was able to put 4 points up on the board. So I do think he comes in here strong. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins are an underdog at home. They've lost their last 8 games as a dog. So this is a hard situation for this team to be in. You could look at Bunting here. Bunting versus former team. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, his anytime goal, you're getting so much value at plus 310. But again, he's got 3 goals and 6 points in 9 games for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the risk, is it worth the reward with Bunting? I'd rather just take Sidney Crosby, but I do think a couple dollars on Bunting here is worth it. First period over 1.5. Yeah, Kev, I really do think this one can start off completely explosive in this one for sure. So the over 1.5 is minus 122. Let's look at the next game. We got the New Jersey Devils and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I say, because this game, I think it's going to make us either money or make us so frustrated out there. We know both of these teams have the ability to just completely go to that over. Explosive offenses on both sides of the puck. Now, Jake Allen did what Jake Allen always used to do when he was with Montreal. He just had a terrible game last game. So we're going to see a bounce back out of Jake Allen. Will Jake Allen be able to shut down the Toronto Maple Leafs offense from scoring on his net? Doubtful. I really do doubt it, you guys. In the last game out, he allowed 5 goals on 25 shots from the Ottawa Senators. We know the struggles the Ottawa Senators have had. Now we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs rolling in, well, not into home, at home here with Joseph Woll. Joseph Woll had a phenomenal game in his last one out. He was able to stop 41 of 43 shots on his goal. So I do like what we've seen out of him, and that was versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So Woll has been strong. Jake Allen turned back into Jake Allen. So I don't know, you guys. I think the Leafs are the right side, but let's look at the odds on this one. Minus 156 for the Toronto Maple Leafs on the money line. Can't get there. We know Toronto's already overpriced, but in this one, I think that's almost a fair line because I look at the New Jersey Devils, and yes, they have the playmakers. They have Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, but then you're countering it with Austin Matthews and Nylander. So I think both sides completely loaded, offensively talented. I don't trust Allen. I trust Woll more. So I think Toronto can get the win, but I still do think we can see the New Jersey Devils score. This one should go over that total of 6.5 at -122. But again, when we see these teams match up, they actually trend to that under. If Jake Allen converts back to the games that he faced, the Stars and all of those elite teams, and really stood on his head, and Joseph Woll does too, this could be a 3-2 game. So I'm not loving this one, you guys. The Leafs have won 9 of the last 10, but again, you look at this team, you can't take them straight up on the money line. At least I can't. 3 of the last 4 games staying under that total, but the firepower is there for these teams to fly over this total right from the very get-go in this one, especially with Jake Allen. So this game is a pass for me. Honestly, I'm not going to bet it. If I was going to bet it, what I would look at doing, and this is what I will end up doing, I want to see the Devils score first and then come back in on Toronto at a better price, because I do think Toronto at home in this one should win this matchup with Joseph Woll in net. So that's where I'm going with this. Sorry, I don't really have like a bet right now, and I could see the Devils on the money line because the Devils have been so strong as well. Matthews for the anytime goal. Yeah, Matthews for the anytime goal. Definitely a strong way to go with that one. Austin Matthews has 92 points so far on the season, 58 goals and 36 assists. When you look at Nylander, 93 points, 39 goals and 54 assists. And when we go to the top 2 scorers for the New Jersey Devils, Timo Meier in his last game had a goal and an assist, and we had Jack Hughes with a goal and an assist. So if you want to look at them for the points as well, I do think this is probably an Austin Matthews show at home. So I would circle Austin Matthews like you guys were saying as well. Okay, let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights are taking on the Nashville Predators. We talked about how hot the Preds are rolling right now, and the books know so. They're coming in at -146 on that money line, +122 for the Vegas Golden Knights, who are off a win last night. Now, Vegas, I tell you, they pushed it to overtime. They cashed us the overtime bet, but they didn't do us any favors not letting the St. Louis Blues win that one, because you guys know we were riding St. Louis and overtime. We could have cashed both of those. It would have been pretty nice. But Vegas was able to get the win. Low scoring, 2-1 game, +122 for them here. Total is sitting at 6.5, -134 to the under and +110 to the over in this game. I can't take this one to the over. But I also, with how strong offensively the Predators can be in some of these games, I can't take it to the under. But you know what I can do? I can take Vegas's team total to the under. I love Vegas's team total to the under 2.5 tonight. That's coming in at +112. I really do think Vegas on the second night of a back-to-back is going to struggle to score on Saros. In goal here for the Preds. He's been phenomenal in his career versus Vegas. Not the best numbers, 4-5-1. So he's lost more than he's won, but he's got a 9-2-1, a save percentage in those. He's been able to get a shutout win versus Vegas as well. Now, his career high of 47 saves in their last game versus the Vegas Golden Knights. He just played absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, the Preds are rolling hot. They're on a 17-point game streak right now, going 15-0-2. They're sitting 4th in the Central with 88 points. It's phenomenal what we're seeing out of them. I love this push they're making into the playoffs. When we look at Saros over this push, he's gone 11-0-2 with a 1.76 goals against average and a 9.36 save percentage. So I do think as long as Saros shows up tonight with the backup goaltender in here for Vegas, and Patera has been strong. Patera has a 1-3-0 record, a 3.75 goals against average, but we look at his last couple versus the Abs. He stopped 32 of 35 shots on him versus the Panthers. He was able to stop 38 of 42. Those are high danger, fast, high quality shots out of both of those teams. So I think he did well, but I do think the Preds should be able to capitalize on him here. Philip Forsberg has been phenomenally strong out there for him. He's on a 5-game goal streak. So looking at Forsberg for the anytime goal, I absolutely love. Looking at Forsberg for 2+ points, I would even look at. I do think Vegas is going to be tired off of that really physical, hard-hitting defensive battle last night versus St. Louis Blues. And yes, they were able to walk away with the win. Yes, Vegas absolutely needs this win here as well. They're sitting 4th in the Pacific, 85 points, 3 points behind the Predators for the top wild card spot. So they want to take this from the Preds right now. I don't think the Preds let them. I do think they can get this win. These two teams are split on the season. Vegas won at home in January 4-1, and the Preds won that last meeting in February 5-3. So Vegas's team total under 2.5, I think, is my favorite bet of this game. I see 2 goals out of Vegas. I think the Preds, they can score the rest to push it over, but I'm not touching that over because of it. I just want Vegas's team total to the under. You guys are rolling with the Preds. I love it. Patera is in goal for Vegas tonight. Not what you want to see if you're with the Vegas Golden Knights, but limited play here. This is also their 3rd game in 4 nights here for the Vegas Golden Knights. So I expect that defense to really collapse in this one. Let's just look at those goal scorer props here and give you the value. Forsberg for the anytime goal. Philip Forsberg is only plus 120, so not as much value as I'd like to see. I want to see him more along the lines of Ryan O'Reilly at plus 220, but they're not going to give that to us. Nyquist is coming in at plus 260. I just want to check out the points. The power play points here is something interesting to look at, but I would look at, if you're looking at power play points for those to come out of Vegas, and because I'm liking Vegas's team total to the under, I wouldn't go there. The power play is stronger for the Predators, but the kill is stronger for Vegas than it is for the Preds. I don't trust the Preds kill very much. They got to stay out of the box if they want to get us this win tonight. That their kill's only 77%. So it'll be a hard one if Vegas goes on the power play. So if you want to look at anyone for the power play point, I would look at Jack Eichel of the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 175. Shea Theodore, interesting look there too at plus 280. But the Predators, I want to look at that 2+ point mark. Philip Forsberg coming in at plus 220. I do think that is worth putting a little bit of money on. If you think you can go down to Ryan O'Reilly all the way at plus 390, you are getting a value for him. Josie coming in at plus 330. I wouldn't hit with him. I don't know. I never cash when I hit on him. But that's all. That's all I'd be looking at in that game. So plenty of stuff to go over. Nashville definitely has the momentum. I do think Fear the Deer. The Preds on the puck line. The Preds on the puck line, laying the 1.5. Don't put them plus 1.5. Laying the 1.5 at plus 168. It looks pretty beautiful. I do think if Vegas gets 2, we see that empty netter come out of the Preds. It definitely would get us there on that puck line if we get that empty netter. But it could be a 5-2 empty netter instead of a 4-2 empty netter. So I like where you're going with that one. I think the Preds can pull it off. Let's sprinkle a little bit. Fear the Deer. Thanks for throwing that one out there because I like it. And I'm gonna bet that one as well. It's one that I hadn't put on my bet slip yet. Next game, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Edmonton coming in, of course, as a favorite at minus 138. But I say of course, and I just don't love what I'm seeing in this line. The Winnipeg Jets at home at plus 115. Isn't it screaming at you guys? Winnipeg off a terrible loss versus Edmonton here. Edmonton on the road. I think Winnipeg can pull it off at home. At plus 115, I'm willing to take a shot on them here. That line has been moving, though, as money comes in for Edmonton. Now that total is 6.5, plus 110 to the over and minus 134 to the under. The Winnipeg Jets, Connor Hellebuck has been phenomenally strong. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts, and he's got a 1.76 goals against average in those starts. His save shots on goal prop tonight is 28.5, and I'm definitely going to take that to the over. The Edmonton Oilers will win this one if Connor Hellebuck isn't at his best. If Connor Hellebuck is at his best tonight, the Winnipeg Jets will steal this win at home. And I do think they can absolutely do it. With how hot he has been, I'm not fading him in this one. Now, the Winnipeg Jets have lost their last 3. They got shut out by the Washington Capitals 3-0 on the road on Sunday, but I tell you, I think Connor Hellebuck at home and this team off of that loss will play strong. I still don't trust Stuart Skinner out here, and we know the Winnipeg Jets do have the offensive firepower to cash in on his weaknesses in this game. The Edmonton Oilers just lost their last 2. They lost to the Senators on Sunday, 5-3. They'd let the Ottawa Senators put up 5 goals on them. That's all I got to say. It's Winnipeg here. It's Winnipeg all day. Now, these two teams have split the series. We saw Edmonton win back in November 3-1 in Winnipeg. And then we saw Winnipeg 1 in Edmonton, 3-2 in overtime in October. So I love something about the money line here at the Winnipeg Jets. How often are we going to get the Winnipeg Jets at home with plus money? I do think, though, this is a scary one that could go to overtime where we're really going to have to sweat out this game. This game goes to overtime. It's plus 350. Now, could I see this being a 3-3 game going to overtime? Absolutely. Finishing 4-3 for the winner here, I could, just because I don't trust Skinner. But we look at the Winnipeg Jets, and like I said, Connor Hellebuck has been so incredibly hot, but the offense here is so powerful for Edmonton. So I'm going to stay off that total, but I do think we look at a couple of playmakers here because I believe in their abilities to be able to get the points or the goals up on the board. Connor McDavid for the power play point tonight, coming in at plus 100. The Jets' kill is weak here, so if they spend a lot of time in the box, I do think Connor McDavid has every ability to stop or to get that power play point. I was just thinking about Connor Hellebuck in the 2 games versus the Edmonton Oilers. He stopped 74 of 78 shots on his goal versus the Oilers this season. So I do think the Edmonton Oilers team total, and the more I talk about this, you guys, I got to look up the odds we're getting on Edmonton and their team total because I want to put it in. If it's 3.5 with great value to the under, I'm going to be betting it. And it's not great value. The 3.5 is juiced. It's minus 152. I wouldn't even put it as a parlay piece. I don't like the minus 152. I was hoping it was going to be minus 120 to the under 3.5, but I do feel like Edmonton struggles to score on Connor Hellebuck tonight. But I do think if they score, Connor McDavid's line should probably get the goal on the power play. So I'd look at him for the power play point. Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets has been really quiet as of late. You could look at his points tonight. He hasn't been able to get the points in the last 3 games, but he was so phenomenally strong. He was riding just a high out there. Tyler Toffoli is a really interesting player when we look at him versus Edmonton. I know when he was with Calgary, man, could he ever score on the Edmonton Oilers and Stuart Skinner? So I think Tyler Toffoli is another player to look at for that anytime goal. Let's move on and talk about the Calgary Flames. Now they are taking on the Chicago Blackhawks here tonight. Now Jacob Markstrom is confirmed in net for the Calgary Flames, and the Calgary Flames minus 172 here on the road. Plus 142 for the Chicago Blackhawks in total of 5.5. The 5.5 is juiced to the over at minus 140. And I still am shaking my head, questioning why this is a 5.5 number in this game. Is Jacob Markstrom going to stand on his head and not allow Chicago to score? Maybe. Maybe this is why we're getting a 5.5, because automatically I wanted to take it to the over in this game. But then the juice that we're having to lay, I don't love. Maybe looking at a 6.5, but then I start to think, how bad does Chicago want to get the win here? This team has been eliminated from the wild card race. They're at home in this one. This is their first game home off a road trip that they went 1-2. It's never a good spot to bet a team. So if I was going to look at a total to the over, it has to be Calgary. Calgary's team total, I'm just going to pull up the odds here, you guys, for you, because I can't take Chicago. I just can't count on Chicago. Calgary's team total over 3.5 at plus 104. I like that. I do think they should be able to get 4 goals in this game. So Calgary's team total, the over 3.5. I do think you can look at some playmakers though. Why don't we make it a Connor show? We're looking at Connor McDavid for the power play point. We've got Connor Zary here of the Calgary Flames, and of course, Connor Bedard of the Chicago Blackhawks. Connor Zary of the Calgary Flames, anytime goal, great plus money. Now, he was so phenomenally hot, then he got injured, and we've seen him be quiet out there since coming back. But at plus 330, I think Connor Zary is worth a couple of dollars on him. Connor Bedard, anytime goals, plus 255. If anyone, and I know Seth Jones, but if anyone else has the ability to get past Jacob Markstrom tonight, it could be Connor Bedard in this one. And I wouldn't be shocked if Connor Bedard came out early, skated down the ice hard, and hit Jacob Markstrom within the first minute, because we know Connor Bedard on his home ice has the capability of doing so. And Jacob Markstrom for parts of this season was an automatic fade for me in the first period. So we could see the upset of Connor Bedard in that first period. So at plus 255 for Connor Bedard for the anytime goal, I'm going to hit Connor Zary here, the anytime goal at plus 330, and then that other Connor McDavid for the power play point tonight. So turned into the Connor show. Sorry about that, you guys. Let's move on to the next game here. We're going to look at the Montreal Canadiens versus the Colorado Avalanche. This is another game I don't love. Okay, so Montreal is off a win versus the Seattle Kraken, but who hasn't beat the Kraken as of late? The Kraken are absolute mess out there. This team had hopes of making the playoffs, and they've dwindled over their last, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, with them just completely falling apart out there. So Montreal was able to beat them, and I love the heart of Montreal. They are playing for their head coach that we know is away with his family, and we hope everything is okay in that situation. But these players are really rallying for him, and this is a team of young players that never give up in these games. My favorite thing to do is see the opponents of Montreal go up, and Montreal on that puck line being able to take them to come back and keep these games tight. And we know how many they've come back and actually pulled off that upset as well. Sam Montague is in net for them tonight. Now, he's had some horrendous games this season, and he's had a couple of good ones as well. Now, we do have backup goaltender in for the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs have won the 5 games prior to the last game they played. Montreal did win the last game back in January. It was a 4-3 style game with Montreal getting the win, but the Avs, the 5 games prior. So I do think the Avs are the right side, but you look at the odds here, the Avs are minus 450. So if you like them on the puck line, you got to lay 1.5. You're still having to pay minus 172. I hate that. The Montreal Canadiens plus 1.5 at plus 142. It holds value because they have played some tight games, but plus 340 on the money line. It's Montreal. Can they pull off the upset? Can they get 2 wins in a row? Which, let's go back on a calendar and work out when the last time Montreal was able to do that. That's a huge question mark. The over 6.5 at minus 120, I do think is interesting because you look at both goaltenders, you look at the heart of Montreal, and I do think this one can go over that total. The Colorado Avalanche alone could, wipe Sam Montague out of this game in that first period by scoring 5 goals and him getting yanked. So I do think the over 6.5 at minus 120 is the way to go in this game. Now, the first goal, though, here, you can bet the Colorado Avalanche to come out and get the first goal in the first period. It's juicy at minus 138, but I definitely can see it happening. If someone's going to score for Montreal, you got to look at Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki is right up there with Austin Matthews with the amount of goals on the season, and no one's really talking about him. He's plus 250 to get the anytime goal for the Montreal Canadiens. And then Nathan MacKinnon here for the power play points coming in at minus 125. Not a lot of value, but we look at Montreal's kill. Their kills only killing 76.3% of the power plays, and the Avs power play is converting at 24.8. So I do think Nathan MacKinnon for the power play point. You can also look at him for 2+ points, but it's so juicy, minus 136. So I do think if you want to look at him for points, I'm looking for a big game. I'm looking for a higher scoring game. I'm looking for back and forth. I'm looking for Montreal to push Colorado as well. So 3+ points here for Nathan MacKinnon. God, I love the plus money. Plus 250, you guys. So Nathan MacKinnon is second in the NHL right now for points at 122. He knows he's chasing Nikita Kucherov out there at the Tampa Bay Lightning. So he wants to be able to get these points on the board today. Now, he's on an 18-game point streak. This is his second of the season. You're looking at him. He had 2 goals and assists on Sunday, extended his home point streak to 34 games. So Wayne Gretzky back in 88-89 season, 40 home games was the record. He is chasing this, you guys. Let's look. And let's cheer on Nathan MacKinnon for those points tonight. I think they come in. Okay. We're going to look at the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Now, before I forget to mention, we do have a rookie making his debut here. It's Josh Doan. Josh Doan here is how I pronounce his name. Man, I just drew a complete blank. He's making his debut, so he's the son of Shane Doan in the AHL. Josh was able to put up 26 goals and 20 assists out there on the ice. I cannot find a player prop for him tonight. I wanted to look at maybe a shots on goal. I wanted to look at the anytime goal, the point. I can't get it, but I do think he comes out nice and strong in his first game, making the debut here versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. We know the Columbus Blue Jackets and Elvis have had their struggles. Elvis is in goal tonight. They've lost their last 4 games. They lost that last game to Vegas 4-2. And the Arizona Coyotes in Mullet Arena, there's something so attractive about the energy behind this team. They're sitting 7th in the Central. They won the last meeting versus the Columbus Blue Jackets back in November. That was a 3-2 win. So they have every ability of getting this win here at home. The odds so on the Arizona Coyotes, they're coming in as a favorite at -160. Whoever wants to lay -160 on the Arizona Coyotes at home, even at home, I don't want to lay -160 on the Coyotes. I don't want to lay -160 on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't like those kind of numbers. +132 here on the Columbus Blue Jackets. That total of 6.5, -122 to the over, and +100 to the under. Vejmelka will be in goal here for the Arizona Coyotes. I'm going to just do a couple things. I'm not going to bet. Well, I want to bet the Arizona Coyotes team total to the over. Okay, let's look it up. I haven't got this bet in yet, you guys, but I am going to be betting this after. The Arizona Coyotes team total is 3.5 at -110 to the over. I do think that has value. If you want to look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, the books, it's only 2.5, so it's -154. The Arizona Coyotes team total over 3.5. I think they're going to get there. Clayton Keller has been phenomenal. Anytime goal for Clayton Keller's +115. The books know it. We were getting him at +180, +200 just like a week ago, but he's been hot. He's had a goal in the last 5 games. You could look at him though. So we take him for the 1+ goals, 1+ at +115. The 2+ goals, that is where you're getting the value, +750. Elvis is in net tonight, you guys. Elvis is in the building. He can let the beach balls come in, and the defense here of the Columbus Blue Jackets is an absolute mess. The Colorado Avalanche in their game versus Columbus put 51 shots on the goaltending, and Vegas put 47. We have every opportunity of hitting Clayton Keller at +750 for 2+ goals in this game, because we're not going to see the resistance out of the defense here of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think it's a phenomenal bet here. He had his 30th goal on Sunday versus the Dallas Stars in that 4-2 loss that the Arizona Coyotes had. So he's got 30 goals on the season. He's got 10 points, 8 goals, and 2 assists over his past 9 games. He's rolling way too hot here for me to not be able to take him. A goal tonight would tie Keller for the 5th longest goal scoring streak in the history of the Arizona Coyotes. You got to love that. You got to love it. Let's take Clayton Keller, 2+ goals, +750. This defense, I can't trust at Columbus. Johnny Gaudreau, though, when have we said a positive thing about Gaudreau? It's right here. He's on a 7-point streak right now. So 1 goal, 6 assists over the last 6 games. So you got to like what you've seen out of Johnny Gaudreau. He could score on Vejmelka tonight. That's who I'd be looking at if you're looking at anyone. But cheer on Josh Drone out there to be able to have a really good debut. I really hope he has a solid one. Anaheim Ducks taking on the Seattle Kraken. Jackets and Yotes, I mean, let's put on a show. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those games. Yeah, that is his son making the debut, so it's great to see. They're fantastic at home, right? Clayton Keller has been phenomenal there. You gotta love Mullet Arena and the atmosphere and the vibe it brings. Let's look at the Anaheim Ducks versus the Seattle Kraken. Now, I know Kraken fans are not going to love this, but -200 for the Seattle Kraken is an absolute joke. This team can't win anything to save their lives right now. The Anaheim Ducks at least stay competitive with the Tampa Bay Lightning in their last game. They're coming in at +164. I got the Ducks quacking, you guys, because I can't back the Kraken here. I think this team has mentally and physically given up in these games. Total of 5.5, -114 to the over and -106 to the under. I'm going to take the Kraken's team total under 3.5. It's a little juicy at -128, but I do think it's the best bet of this game. John Gibson expected here for the Anaheim Ducks, and we do have Joey Daccord confirmed for the Seattle Kraken. Now, the Kraken did win back in December 3-2. These two teams play tonight, and then on Thursday, both of the games in Seattle, and then in Anaheim on the 5th. So next Friday, they will be in Anaheim. I do think the Ducks can win this one and probably the one on their home ice. I think Seattle probably wins the second. I'm going to bet the Ducks. If the Ducks lose tonight, I'll bet them in the next game. We're going to get even more value in the next game. They're going to win one of these games in Seattle, and I do think it's tonight. You look at the Ducks in the last 9 games, we're putting money on them. They're 1-7-1. Again, not the best game of the night, but we'll talk about it. And the Kraken are 0-6-1 at home this month. This team at the start of the month thought they were going to make a push for the playoffs. They're now 6th in the Pacific. The Calgary Flames are sitting above them. The value is on the Ducks. We are quacking tonight, you guys. Let's go. Let's get those parlays in. The Anaheim Ducks and the Arizona Coyotes. Man, how many times have we said that one? I don't think we've ever said that one, Doug. Okay, let's look at this last game. The Dallas Stars taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. They're taking on the San Jose Sharks. Might as well be the Chicago Blackhawks out there. We have Scott Blackwood in net tonight for the San Jose Sharks. I don't trust him. The Dallas Stars and the Sharks played 2 really tight games, but different goaltending in for the Sharks. The Kakkonen that went to the Carolina Hurricanes was in one of those games, and Magnus Sharona, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, was in for the other one. So Blackwood hasn't faced the Dallas Stars this season. And both of those goaltenders still give up the goals, but it wasn't Mackenzie Blackwood. Mackenzie Blackwood? No. The Dallas Stars could go over the total today on their own, you guys. I just can't get behind the Sharks. The Sharks are plus 330 if you want a barking dog there, but I don't think they're barking. Minus 430 for the Stars. So it's finding value in this game. That 6.5, I'd look to the over because I do think the Stars could get this one over themselves. I'd look at the Stars team total first. The Stars team total over 4.5 is coming in at plus 114. I do think this team has every ability to score 5 goals in this. Scott Wedgwood and not Ottinger will be in net for the Stars tonight. So the Sharks do have the ability to get at least 1 or 2 pushing us to that over in this game. The Stars are second in the Central, and the Sharks played them tight in those 2 games. Like, the San Jose Sharks pushed them on the 5th to OT, with the Stars winning 7-6 and 3-2 in a shootout in Dallas on March 2nd. So we have seen the Sharks really know how to hit the Dallas Stars. I'm just not buying into it with Blackwood because I think the Stars' ability to make a day of him today is going to be there. Now, I'm going to circle a couple of players. Wyatt Johnston, I've been playing on him this week. I really love what we've seen out of him and his ability. I do like Jason Robinson, though, for the power play point tonight. 1+ power play point is coming in at plus 220, and Rupe Hintz for the 1+ power play point is plus 340. You look at the San Jose Sharks and how weak this team is on that kill and how strong the Stars have been. I think it's the best way. Take the players that you like to score those goals tonight and look at them on those power plays, because the Sharks will find time in that penalty box. These teams started to get scrappy in those last couple games out between each other, and I do think the Stars will capitalize against the weak kill here of the San Jose Sharks. But their team total over 4.5, it's great plus money at plus 114. Feels too easy to think that the Stars will get 5 goals in this one. The last game, we saw 7 goals out of them. 6 out of the Sharks in the game prior. We did see that lower scoring one. It's just, again, Blackwood. I just can't trust him. That is for sure. Okay, yeah, I know. San Jose gives them trouble, and I completely understand why you're taking San Jose plus the 1. Good luck. Kelly, you have more faith than I do. You're right. This team, absolutely. If we're going to see one upset, the Sharks have already proven that they may be, like, those 2 games, they already almost upset the Dallas Stars in both of those. Remember, they also came out really fast in the first period. I think if you are looking at something for the San Jose Sharks, I would look at the first period before I looked at the full game, because I think the Stars here, sitting second in the Central, they want that number 1 spot in the Central. They're too hungry. They're really too hungry to make this run, but I wish you the best if you're taking the Sharks. I completely understand why you are. There's always so many reasons why to get behind a dog. I love betting the dogs. You guys absolutely know that. You can hear it today. We've got lots of dogs on the card today, but you guys look at those players that are hitting their 100th point tonight. I do think strong plays there. I think you look at, Kyle Connor to get back on getting those points. Look at all the Connors. We got Connor. We got Connor McDavid. We got Kyle Connor. We got Connor Zary, Connor Bedard. Could we take all of them to get a goal tonight? The only one that I didn't have to get a goal tonight was Connor McDavid because I got his power play point. What about just a point out of all of them? All fours. Connor McDavid, Kyle Connor, Connor Zary, Connor Bedard. All of them. Who's going to ruin that? Let's see who's going to ruin that parlay. I'm going to try to do it right now. If you guys want to hang in with me, that is all I'm going to do. I'm going to look at parlaying these players for their point tonight. So, I don't want the power play point. I just want the regular point. And Clayton Keller is all locked up for the point. So they won't even give us Clayton Keller for 1 point, but they will give us this for 2. So I'm just going to look at the goal scorers because I can't do that. Let's just try a goal scorer parlay here. Clayton Keller. Not Clayton Keller. Why did I start going with Keller? Because I know he's going to score tonight. Clayton Keller is going to score tonight. Let's go back. Let's do the Connors. See, you guys, I get distracted there and I start looking at players. Okay. We're going to take Connor McDavid. Well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Connor McDavid in the parlay for the power play point. That's coming in at plus 100. I'm then going to look at Kyle Connor for the anytime goal. That's coming in at plus 750. Or sorry, plus 175. I was going to say it, plus 750. That would be crazy. And then I'm going to look at the Calgary and the Chicago game. And I'm going to hit both of those Connors for their anytime goals. And we're getting great value. Connor Bedard plus 175. And then Connor Zary at plus 320. Same game parlay is coming in at plus 1069. So Connor Bedard, anytime goal. Connor Zary, anytime goal. Connor McDavid to record the power play point. And Kyle Connor for the goal. Plus 1069. I'm going to bet it. I'm going to get that in right now, you guys. All the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking game out there on the... Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. I'm just kind of... I don't know. I'm excited for these games. Let's go, you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.